The Israel-Iran conflict reached an unprecedented level in June 2025. It wasn't just about proxy wars, cyber attacks, or diplomatic jabs anymore. It turned into direct warfare. Israel launched a surprise, full-scale assault on Iranian nuclear facilities and airbases. This was named Operation Rising Lion. Israel had been preparing this for months, if not years. On 13th June, before sunrise, Israel's Air Force struck over 200 Iranian fighter jets grounded in hangars, along with the nuclear sites and weapons development infrastructure, including sites at Natanz, Fordo, and Isfahan. These weren't ordinary strikes. Israel used hypersonic missiles, stealth drones, and satellite-guided bunker busters to target deeply buried nuclear facilities. Their aim was simple: to cripple Iran's capacity to build a nuclear bomb. But this wasn't the end. Iran responded just hours later. Hundreds of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and explosive drones were launched in waves toward Israeli military bases and infrastructure. This was Iran's largest ever direct military strike on Israel. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard openly took credit for it, signaling a shift from covert attacks to overt war. Interestingly, many of these Iranian missiles were intercepted mid-air. Israel's multi-layered air defense system, Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow 3 performed under extreme pressure. According to Israeli sources, over 90% of the incoming threats were neutralized, but that 10% still did damage. Several Israeli airbases were hit. Oil depots caught fire. Some missiles reached northern cities. Casualty numbers were in the hundreds, and thousands were injured. Israel, in turn, launched more retaliatory strikes. But amidst this back and forth, a bigger question emerged. Does Iran really have nuclear weapons? Let's go back. Iran started its nuclear program in the 1950s under US assistance. But after the Islamic Revolution in 1979, Iran's nuclear ambitions became secretive. The world suspected Iran of trying to build a bomb, especially under the Ahmad Project, an alleged military nuclear program that reportedly ended in 2003. But many believe it continued secretly. Iran insists it's enriching uranium for peaceful energy purposes. But uranium enrichment levels tell another story. Natural uranium has about 0.7% U-235 isotope. For nuclear reactors, enrichment is up to 3 to 5%. But for a nuclear bomb, you need at least 90%. According to the IA, Iran has already enriched uranium up to 60% purity, which is only one technical step away from weapons grade. They have around 121 kilograms of this highly enriched uranium, and with just 25 to 30 kg of 90% enriched uranium, one nuclear bomb can be built. This means Iran could potentially break out and produce a bomb within a few weeks if it decides to. This is what scares Israel the most. Now you may ask, why doesn't the world just stop Iran? That's what the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action (JCPOA), commonly known as the Iran Nuclear Deal, was meant to do. Signed in 2015, it limited Iran's uranium enrichment to 3.67%, restricted its stockpile, and imposed strict international inspections. In return, Iran got relief from economic sanctions. But in 2018, under Donald Trump, the US unilaterally withdrew from the deal and reimposed sanctions. Iran gradually resumed enrichment beyond the permitted limits. The nuclear deal collapsed. That brings us back to 2025. Israel didn't want to wait for diplomacy. With no deal in place and Iran nearing weapons-grade enrichment, Israel decided to act. But here's the twist. Iran doesn't currently possess a nuclear bomb. What it has is the capability to quickly build one. This is called a threshold nuclear state. It gives Iran massive geopolitical leverage, enough to deter attacks without violating the NPT treaty openly. Now, there's another layer to this. While Iran is suspected of building nukes, Israel already has them, an estimated 90 to 400 nuclear warheads, according to global analysts. But Israel follows a policy of nuclear ambiguity. It neither confirms nor denies its nuclear arsenal. This creates an imbalance. Iran argues, why is Israel allowed to have nukes without any international pressure? But we're sanctioned for just enriching uranium. From Iran's perspective, it's a question of regional parity and self-defense. But from Israel's side, it's an existential threat. They believe a nuclear Iran could embolden Hezbollah, Hamas, and other proxies, or even launch a direct strike. And so, for the first time since its founding, Israel went beyond proxy wars and struck the Iranian mainland directly. There's also the international angle. The US supported Israel's airstrikes indirectly by providing satellite intelligence, aerial refueling, and Patriot interceptors. France, Germany, and the UK appealed for restraint, while Russia and China condemned Israel's attack. But here's what makes the 2025 conflict historic. It was the first time Iran and Israel exchanged fire directly, not through proxies. It was the largest aerial assault in the Middle East since the US invasion of Iraq. And for the first time, the world witnessed a state-level use of drone swarms, combined with cyber warfare, anti-satellite jamming, and AI-guided targeting, ushering in a new era of hybrid war. But how did it end? After 12 days of relentless strikes, Iran agreed to a temporary ceasefire, brokered by Qatar and Turkey. Israel paused its operations, but made it clear, if Iran restarts its underground nuclear work, it will strike again. So what now? There are three possible scenarios. Iran returns to the negotiation table, perhaps even reviving a JCPOA 2.0 under new terms. Iran secretly accelerates its nuclear bomb project, believing that military deterrence is its only survival strategy. A wider regional war, dragging in Hezbollah, Houthis, Syria, and possibly US troops in the Gulf. Meanwhile, the IA warns that Iran can rebuild its enrichment facilities within months, even though some centrifuges were destroyed. Experts believe this was just a preview. The real crisis will unfold if Iran decides to build or test a nuclear weapon. That would cross a red line for not just Israel, but the entire Western world. And in that moment, diplomacy may no longer be an option. This was perspective of Varun. The truth as it is. No filters. No fear.